Hello people, in today's video I will show you all my settings for my Garry's Mod Bodycam collection. Let's start with the video settings. These are mostly preference, but there are some things you really need to enable and disable. I highly recommend setting your frame rate limit to your monitor's refresh rate, and you shouldn't have to change resolution for this. Here is my brightness setting. Not important at all, but just if anyone really wanted to see. All this shown on the screen right now is preference. The only thing you really need to disable is anti-aliasing, as it stops generic depth from working. If you are really low on FPS, I suggest switching betas on Garry's Mod. Switching to the Chromium branch grants you more frames with the drawback of some add-ons not working. Now back to this. Remember, disable anti-aliasing. I forgot to say, but please enable multi-core rendering. It will boost your performance when in-game. Now we are in-game. I will start by showing you my player speed. This is also preference, but these are my recommended settings. Press Save Settings when done. Let's go over my Arc 9 settings. Most of these are set to default, but some settings are very important as they affect weapons and view model. TPIK is quite impactful on performance. Please enable this only if you have a good computer, though it is recommended to have on if you play multiplayer. Let's go over the rest of the settings. You can pause if you want. The visuals are very important. You don't have to copy these exact settings, but ideally you should have something like this. Muzzle light is optional. I recommend putting this on, but I currently have it disabled because I use another add-on. Bob style is up to you. I don't really see too much difference between them, but I just put it on Half-Life 2. Gameplay settings are also important. Please turn on things like weapon sway and free aim. The peeking setting is optional, but having it on can sometimes be buggy. These are the rest of my settings. Let's begin with the Suppression add-on. Please follow the recoil shake settings. These try to simulate semi-realistic recoil. In the gameplay, you don't really see much difference as I tried this with Half-Life 2 weapons. But there is a big difference when using this with Arc 9. And please, when using this, turn the recoil move slider to 0. When having this enabled, the player gets pushed back when shooting. I shall show you why you don't want this enabled. Source shadows do change the shadows on some maps, depending on support. But be careful, as changing these settings can lead to game crashes. Let me show you. Now we are back, but on a different map. Sorry for the crash. Here are some more settings for you. when enabling first-person shadows with source shadows. Things can get a bit weird at times, so beware. With Mighty Foot, set your animations to S-Mod. I think that these look the best for Bodycam gameplay. The rest of Mighty Foot doesn't really matter, but if you want to change these, go ahead. Now for my ragdoll blood settings. I haven't really messed with these too much. Sometimes I disable decals as they aren't super duper realistic. The CTV settings are where things get juicy. This is the mastermind behind the whole perspective and camera, as it mixes third-person view with first-person weapons/animations. I suggest copying these settings precisely for the best result. The smooth camera view really perfects the body cam feeling. When enabled, it smooths out that janky mouse movement of yours. The higher value, the more smooth your camera becomes. I suggest having it low as having a high value may look a bit too smooth. Here are the settings for the bleeding system shown in my collection video. This is mostly preference as well, but please just keep HUD messages off. I'll show you why. This isn't really shown in my collection video, but the collection includes grenade shock and tinnitus. For grenade shock settings, just disable everything. It can be really annoying having everything on whilst fighting NPCs. For head bobbing, I mostly keep everything on default as I don't bother changing them. We're back. Now let's go over the Utilities tab, which include the rest of my settings. My ragdoll settings aren't anything special. Don't really bother changing them, but I'll go over them just in case. The rest of my settings are just completely default, and I don't want to waste your time. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this does you well. Remember, this collection and these settings aren't anything too perfect. You will sometimes see issues when in-game.